Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing whether the U.S. Embassy in Thailand should vaccinate American expats here. I did another video recently where I read from an open letter issued by the Charge d'Affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok, where they basically said, look, we don't logistically have the ability to vaccinate American expats here in Thailand. And they noted that, to do so, it wouldn't just be Thailand. They'd have to do it around the world. This came on the heels of the French embassy announcing they were assisting with vaccination of their nationals through their embassy. And I haven't done another video on that, but that's apparently what's going on. And I've had some interesting feedback about my video, because I kind of take the position that, expats, once you leave the United States, you're an expat. You're not in the United States. So the U.S. probably isn't going to really do much other than issue you a new passport. Or if you have a child abroad, you may be able to get things like a CRBA, CRIBA, Consular Report of Birth Abroad, passport for a child. Or if you need assistance, they assist with like visas for a loved one, a spouse in particular, fiancés back to the U.S. But this notion that the embassy is sort of here to assist in this vaccination drive, I personally, on just sort of a personal level, that's not really what I view as being in their bailiwick. The folks, the Charge pointed out in his letter that he didn't feel that way. And, or at least, I shouldn't say he, but it's the policy of the U.S. government that the U.S. government doesn't feel that way. So why this video? Well, somebody made a comment on that video, and it brought up an interesting point in my mind. The comment reads, and I quote, "America is one of the few countries where you still have to pay taxes even if you don't live there anymore. It would not be such a big logistical problem, really. Have a country-by-country rollout and ask U.S. citizens to register online for vaccine if they live in a specific country. After all, the USA is letting millions of doses spoil or giving away millions of doses to other countries. In the end, what are we paying taxes for?" And I think in the letter from the Charge, they did mention they had given, or they were in the process of giving vaccines to the Thai government. I can't remember that for certain, but I tend to think that that's what it said. But the point on this that brought this to my mind and made me kind of think on it a minute is the tax notion. For those who are unaware, and I don't think any American that lives abroad is unaware of this, but American citizens are liable for U.S. taxes on their worldwide income despite where they live. The United States doesn't use a territorial system in the same way, for example, that like the UK does, or many other countries, where you're only taxable on, as a citizen of that country, you're only taxable on your income if you're in that country. There's nuances to all of this. I'm definitely overly generalizing that, but long story short, Americans, yes, we still have to file tax returns when we live abroad. We may be liable for taxes on our foreign earned income, foreign unearned income, capital gains, a number of different things, and not to get too deep into that. But one thing to note is what's called the foreign earned income exclusion, FEIE, which allows an individual to only need to pay taxes over a certain amount of money. So, for example, right now, I think with the cost of living adjustment, it's like $106,000. If you make less than that abroad, you still have to file a return, but you don't have to pay taxes. So, first of all, that does not exist for folks that live in America. So they can't not pay taxes on anything they earn that's, under $106,000 or whatever the current threshold presently is. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. But, so expats, first of all, there's that to think about. It is an interesting point. We are liable for taxes abroad, so therefore, this came up. Why not? I, however, still kind of tend to see State Department's kind of position on that. And as noted, I believe, again, in that letter, Americans can always get on a plane and return to the United States and get vaccinated that way. Now, I know many people who are watching this video probably are doing a spit take. If they're drinking water or something, they'd say, well, yeah, I can do that, and then I got to go through quarantine to get back into Thailand, or I got to go through the Phuket sandbox, which, I've got to spend 14 days in Phuket if I want to come back. it is true. It's not an optimal set of circumstances. I do think folks do underestimate the logistical hurdles that would come from having to stock and roll out these vaccinations at every U.S. embassy and consulate around the world. That would be a staggering feat. I mean, that would require a lot more man hours, I think, than the commenter was I think he kind of glossed over that aspect of it. That said, it was an interesting point. It's the reason I made the video. But yeah, Americans are liable for their taxes on their worldwide income, and they are liable to file tax returns when living abroad, again, depending on circumstances. But yeah, I won't say that connection is completely tenuous. I think it's something of a compelling argument, but I think the response to that argument is, yeah, and those expats, they have the foreign earned income exclusion, so that's something the folks that live in the U.S. don't have, so it kind of distinguishes them. Just in looking at it purely in line of that specific argument, kind of goes ahead and mitigates against that argument being overly compelling to the point where they should roll out these vaccines worldwide.